Everything that we did must not be looked at in isolation. It must be examined from the point of view of that tradition of collective leadership.
On Mandela Day, we've got to ask ourselves, what were the aspirations that Nelson Mandela and his generation had for our country?
You may wish to contest the ANC presidency in December 2017, but South Africa no longer needs you.
Whilst the ANC have picked up some of the best cadres trusted in the organization, give them certain responsibilities, when now they are expected to carry and execute those responsibilities, they become above the organization.
It was that leadership that decided to focus on a particular individual, not because he had qualities which placed him head and shoulders above others, but somebody who was part of a team and who would never be able to play any important role if he had acted independently from that team.
Over 2 decades since the genesis of South Africa's democracy, and political upheaval is the order of the day. Public betrayals by key ANC figures fuels the uncertainties. But is the stage set for the formation of a major new political party? One that could rival and perhaps even unseat the ANC? This startling question surfaces around Mandela Day, a global event celebrated every year on the 18th of July, the day of the late Nelson Mandela's birth. Acts of charity on the day reflect Madiba's devotion to fighting poverty and promoting social justice for all.
This has been the day for a number of years now that we remember him, and therefore remember what he stood for, the values, but the sacrifice. In other words, through his name, many of the South African heroes are remembered on this day, those who are well known and those who are known very little and those who are known not known at all. So it's a big day to say, let us do something for ourselves as a human race on this day, whatever we can do for a very specified period.
What this day calls upon is our own sense of social consciousness and social responsibility as South Africans to make a donation to our community, to take responsibility for building South Africa into what we want it to be, not only during 67 minutes, but way beyond every day, so that South Africa can become a better place. We can inspire young people, we can inspire South Africans.
While the youth also take their cue from Mandela and express their aspirations for a prosperous future.
Nelson Mandela helped us through by through, but we never helped him. But now we can help the other children that never saw Nelson Mandela. And my little brother, I can imagine that he never saw Nelson Mandela, so I can help him every day to learn English and Zulu and Afrikaans every day, so that when we grow up, we will have efficient lawyers like me. I want to be a lawyer, and he will want to be anything he wants, because Nelson Mandela told us that.
It means so much what they fight for: justice, equality, dignity, and so on, and that worth that the entire world come to celebrate that anniversary.
The late Nelson Mandela played a central role in bringing about unity among diverse groups in South Africa. Cohesion in the ANC was also something that was close to his heart.
African National Congress is an organization with a tradition of collective effort. And everything that we did must not be looked at in isolation. It was that leadership that decided to focus on a particular individual, not because he had qualities which placed him head and shoulders above others, but somebody who was part of a team and who would never be able to play any important role if he had acted independently from that team. If you look at the matter like that, then whatever was said by an individual, by our organization, and then in due course by the international community, must be looked at from the point of view that it was actually the result of efforts made by that remarkable team of men and women that have led our organization during the most difficult years of our struggle.
Yet on this particular Mandela Day, 18 July 2017, prominent figures arise with ANC unity furthest from their minds. This group of dissenting voices, many from within the ANC ranks, forms part of a broad front, and their agenda is to continually try and discredit President Jacob Zuma.
On Mandela Day, we've got to ask ourselves, what were the aspirations that Nelson Mandela and his generation had for our country? In part, we fulfilled that aspiration. In part, we still have to fulfill it. If the president or anybody else is not helping us to fulfill that aspiration, which is very low unemployment, very low inequality, virtually no poverty, and all South Africans enjoying a better standard of life, and South Africa regaining its reputation in the world as this miracle country that had a fantastic transition in 1994, and a transition on which we can actually build on and continue to transform this country to benefit the majority of South Africans, then clearly we must have a situation where those who are responsible must move aside and let good people run this country so that we can achieve those aspirations.
You may wish to contest the ANC presidency in December 2017, but South Africa no longer needs you, Mr. President. Please save South Africa. Save jobs, Mr. President. Save the economy, Mr. President. Save women, Mr. President. Yes. Save South Africans from this pain. I have witnessed that violence against women has reached intolerable levels. The vision and mission statement of the ANC Parliamentary Caucus, which is based on the fact that we are a united South Africa and we are a parliament of the people, has been violated by you, Mr. President. I cannot say more about how much you have violated the country's constitution. Mr. President, uphold the ANC constitution. Mr. President, uphold the country's constitution. Step aside and let moral and ethical leaders lead this country to a prosperous path.
These dissenting voices purport to represent the conscience of the ANC. However, they are part of a minority that was crushed by a show of unity led by branches that support President Zuma at the recent ANC policy conference.
Our discussions must be informed by unity, which is the rock upon which the ANC was founded. Unity must be the thread that keeps this movement and our country together.
Unity and implementation, as President alluded to that, emphasizing unity, but he also said we must look on why we are failing to implement. He even suggested that there must be monitoring and evaluation, trying also to say we must have a dedicated unit that deals with monitoring and evaluation. And I think that emphasizes a need for implementation.
The movement is united. People who say many other things, that represent the vibrancy of the ANC. So as the province, we are quite excited. We also want to focus on rearranging the branches on the ground so that they are much stronger. Our proposal here is going to be that branches have to be according to voting district so that you go beyond the ward.
President Jacob Zuma, conscious of the fact that the very loud and public dissent is partly being fueled by the ANC leadership battle, Zuma, in fact, reiterated the unity call on Nelson Mandela Day, once again bringing up his proposal of a united slate where the losing candidate becomes the deputy in the ANC succession race.
Making those who were contesting the one who has more votes, number one, the one who has lesser vote, number two, you are actually making this faction to be part of the movement. Because there's not going to be winner take all. That system will make that, therefore, because they are together, even when it comes to deploying the cadres, you will take from both sides. And we will be working together. And that will begin to see a united ANC.
Following Gordhan and Khoza's grandstanding, ANC national spokesperson Zizi Kodwa cracks the whip on their open defiance. He says ANC MPs' public posturing suggests a sinister political game. The ANC's measured stance on the delinquency of the two suggests the party is aware of a bigger plot against the movement.
That's why people are bold enough and they are shameless in terms of just go and share platform with the most critics of the ANC and ventilate those issues that in our view would have been better ventilated in the ANC.
The party questions Khoza and Gordhan's motives, suggesting it was their grand plot to damage the party as much as possible before leaving the movement and floating their own party perhaps.
Because the view is that you must discredit the ANC before you leave the ANC. ANC members mustn't do that. Because those who love the ANC, you can't before, even if you have taken a conscious decision to leave the ANC, why discredit the ANC in the first instance? You claim to be the member of the ANC with all discipline of the organization.
So why would these people who occupy or had occupied key leadership positions in the party seek to work against the movement? ANN7 looked at various theories that could explain their actions.
Pravin Gordhan is said to be toying with the idea of forming a separate party which may be joined by the like-minded. Makhosi Khoza is among a group of desperate ANC leaders posturing for perks of power if the anti-Zuma slate wins. Trevor Manuel, Makhosi Khoza, Sipho Panyana, Cheryl Carolus, Joel Netitsinze and Frank Chekane are fighting the ANC from within on corporates' behalf. Save SA, Veterans 101 and the MK Council may come together to form a political front along with the ANC rebels if Ramaphosa's slate loses in the elective conference.
This is a direct attack to the ruling party that they claim to be belonging to and they claim to be loving. And the ANC spoke of unity of the organization during the policy conference. They had a map forward on how they are going to move forward in order to regain its glory as well as support come 2019. But you have key members who are coming from a key region like KZN, both of them, being deployed by a region and attacking the organization decision, not also within the confines of the organization. There is nothing wrong in talking about the wrongs of the organization, the faults of the organization. There's nothing wrong in criticizing your own organization that you belong to. But you can do that within the confines of the organization.
She has already divorced the ANC, and it's quite clear that she does not have an interest of being part of the ANC anymore. And as correctly stated, she then wants to just cause some divisions, confusion within the ANC.
It's been predicted back in the early 1990s already that Chris Hani would be assassinated and Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma would be character assassinated. And I think we've arrived at that circle. And similar tricks have been played before when Dr. Mampela Rampela actually stood for president some time ago. But she did one thing which was quite honorable. She declared a wealth. And why do Dr. Khoza Thuli Madonsela and Fechi Mentor and Pravin Gordhan not declare their wealth to the public so that they know that they're clean or not clean.
The big question is that despite their open dissent and public display of disaffection with the ANC and the leadership, why have these people not quit the party yet? Is the bid to wrestle power from within on behalf of vested interests? And who stands to gain if President Zuma and his radical transformation of the SA economy pitch are forced out of office?
It's glaring for all of us to see that indeed white monopoly capital is there. There's no doubt about it. So a number of people have wrote about it, including Professor Malikana, who outlined very well where it was said, which phrases, which paragraphs, and it's clear that even Comrade Blade said it, not once, not twice, and it's disingenuous for Comrade Blade today to say there's no such. We know we are feeling it is there, and we are saying it's there as a transform RSA.
South Africa is divided economically in terms of race, and we can't ignore that. There's a huge percentage of a specific race who are in control of our economy. Anyone who says there is no white monopoly, I wonder where do they come from or what South Africa it is. The fact remains the economy of South Africa, your mining sector, your agricultural sector, your what you call your shopping complexes and so forth, your property sector, it's all within the white hands.
Let's take a closer look at the biggest critics of Zuma so far and their ties to big business and monopoly capital interests.
Trevor Manuel, chairperson of Old Mutual Emerging Markets, which is linked to Johan Rupert. He's also an advisor and deputy chairman of Rothschild Group. Makosi Khoza, former member of Standard Bank and now a fellow at Aspen Global Leadership Institute, which is linked to Aspen Pharmacare Chief Executive Stephen Saad. Sipho Panyana, non-executive director of Anglo Gold Ashanti, which was previously linked to the Oppenheimers. Cheryl Carolus, board member of Investec, which is led by Stephen Kusef, chairperson of mining giant Goldfields. Joel Netitenze, non-executive director of Nedbank, which is linked to Johan Rupert. He is also non-executive director of Life Healthcare Group. Frank Chikane, chairperson of Kagiso Trust Board of Directors.
Ms. Makosi Khoza has not just begun her term in Parliament. She's been an MP for a quite number of years. But this is coming now where she joins the Kathrada Foundation. She joins Mr. Sipho Pitjana's Safe South Africa. And I think those people are what is considered in mobile society anti-ANC or anti-President Jacob Zuma. And I don't think that was a good move. If, of course, she has the right channels within the ANC, she should have consulted, even at Luthuli House, parliamentary caucus. But to sit there on that chair and announce how her president, who is her ultimate leader within the alliance and the ANC, has violated the constitution doesn't help the nation.
Despite the public betrayal, Kodwa says the party would not engage members who publicly question the integrity of its leaders, a bid perhaps to stop members like Khoza and Gordhan from playing the victim card.
We don't like to respond in public to people who criticize the ANC. It's to always to restore the decorum of the ANC. Not because they are right in what they raise, but because we want to restore the decorum. Because our view is that when ANC members is public spat, there's no winner. In fact, it damages the organization more than individuals.
In fact, Kodwa accusing Khoza of peddling lies when she said President Zuma only agreed to serve one term. He explained that structures persuaded Zuma to stand for a second term. He added that the party was worried about the serious transgressions and decline of political consciousness displayed by some members.
One of the lies is that President Zuma had said he would stand for 1 term. And therefore, because of his uncontrollable desire for power, he decided to continue for the second. It is not true. President, yes, did express in one way or another when we started 2009, even 2007, that he will stand, but it was structures of the ANC, including some alliance partners, to persuade the president to stand for the second term in Mangaung. So it's not because of his uncontrollable desire for power. No, he was persuaded by structures against his will, even including the alliance partners, persuaded him.
The outspoken ANC MP Khoza not stopping at just Zuma criticism. Taking to Facebook, Khoza shared WhatsApp text messages allegedly containing death threats. Next, she literally accused Police Minister Fikile Mbalula of fueling the threats against her, accusing the SAPS of inaction on the threats. Minister Mbalula hit back, accusing Khoza of resisting SAPS's attempt to investigate her claims and preferring the use of Facebook instead.
We have attended to the Makhosi Khoza case and it is closed. In as far as we don't have an altercation with her. We are doing what it is supposed to do in terms of the law. Issues in relation to the politics that she represents, she will resolve them with the political party, which is the African National Congress, and the ANC is capable of dealing with its own members. To an extent that she's been threatened, and she claims that it is our responsibility to protect all our citizens, and we don't have to wait till something like that is put into practice. It does happen. We do it with all.
Undeterred, Khoza, in yet another Facebook post, has gone on to link the ANC to death threats.
Hinting in a political assassination plot, Khoza said, and I quote, "Many of our comrades have died silently. The memory of a young woman who dared to cry rape against a powerful man lingers in the atmosphere, even as she was banished to die a silent death. Many of my comrades died while remaining silent. Many of my comrades will die silently still, especially as December approaches. Yet those who accuse me have done nothing about it. They have let our dead comrades down. Now they come for those of us who are alive."
Another clear signal that Khoza is unwilling to back down despite the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal deciding to charge her with ill discipline.
So we don't know at this point which slate Makhoza is, and no matter what happens to her at this point, she believes she has the protection of her slate. If she believes that her slate is against President Jacob Zuma, then they can get her out of parliament. But she's hoping that whoever wins and the slate she's in will revert and take her back into parliament or the ANC.
Adding fuel to rumors of broad anti-ANC front slowly becoming an alternative party are the repeated provocations by alliance members SACP and Labour Federation's COSATU.
When you look at the South African Communist Party, you could see the number of business people, capitalists in a communist conference who's funding these political parties besides the money they get from the IEC as well as Parliament. It is white capital because you don't find a lot of black people with the financial muscle that much that they can give billions and billions to these political parties.
COSATU, in fact, went so far ahead as to publicly insult the president by banning him from speaking at its events, the Labour Federation preferring Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa instead, the SACP too shifting away from its communist agenda to form a pact with organizations such as Save SA, raising questions about the voice of the left changing focus for political expediency.
The manner in which the alliance functions must change. Reconfiguration that we are talking about. We need to discuss that together. Firstly, whether the alliance as a whole in principle agrees to that. Reconfiguration. If there's agreement, then we are able to sit and engage and say, okay, how would that reconfigure the alliance? If then the alliance doesn't agree, then it means the future if the alliance actually hangs in the balance.